The dachshund weighed 11 pounds. The table she knocked over weighed 32. The math shouldn't have worked. But the mathematics of panic rarely follow standard ratios, and Pretzel, a 6-year-old miniature dachshund with the body proportions of a submarine and the determination of a siege weapon, had leveraged her full 11 pounds against the leg of a 32-pound glass-top side table with precisely enough force, at precisely the right angle, to topple it toward the wall rather than toward the baby. The baby, 7-month-old Cooper, was lying on the activity mat under the table at the time, a table that had been safe for 7 months of daily proximity, until the moment the Montessori mobile that hung from the table's edge, the one that spun when touched, rotated close enough to Cooper's hand that he grabbed it. Cooper pulled the mobile. The mobile was attached to the table. The table began to tilt. Pretzel hit the leg, not the falling side, the opposite leg, the upright one, on the wall side of the table. She launched herself from the couch, a distance of 4 feet, significant for an 11-pound, 9-inch tall dog, and hit the table leg on the wall-facing side, redirecting the table's momentum away from Cooper and toward the wall. The glass top hit the wall and shattered. The table frame dented the baseboard. Pretzel landed on the activity mat beside Cooper. Cooper, startled, began crying. Cooper was otherwise unharmed. If you stay for stories about the ones who do the math of protection in seconds, subscribe to Fur-Covered Miracles. Shannon Torres had been in the kitchen, 10 feet away, filling a water bottle. She ran at the sound of breaking glass and found the scene: shattered glass against the wall, dented baseboard, Cooper crying on the mat, Pretzel standing beside him with one ear folded inside out from the landing impact. The glass top had been 32 pounds of tempered glass. A direct fall onto a 7-month-old infant lying on his back would have been catastrophic. The glass had instead struck the wall, where it shattered into the safety glass pattern of small blunt-edged pieces concentrated at the baseboard. Shannon called her husband David at work. She was crying before he answered. The table fell. The glass broke against the wall. Cooper? He's fine. Pretzel hit the table. Then, Pretzel did what? The physics were reconstructed that evening when David reviewed the living room camera footage. The table tilts at frame 847. Pretzel leaves the couch at frame 848. She impacts the opposite leg at frame 851. 4 frames, approximately 1/8 of a second at the camera's frame rate. David had worked in structural engineering for 12 years. He watched the footage 6 times. She hit the load-bearing leg on the opposite side from the fall vector, he said. She redirected the momentum. If she had hit the falling side, she would have accelerated the collapse. She hit the correct side. At 4 feet of horizontal momentum, 11 pounds is enough, if you hit the right point. Has an animal ever physically intervened to prevent something you didn't see coming? Tell us. Physics and instinct can overlap. The veterinary orthopedic specialist Shannon took Pretzel to found a hairline fracture in her left front ulna, the bone she had led with on the landing. It healed with 6 weeks of restricted activity and anti-inflammatories. Pretzel spent those 6 weeks on the couch, wearing a soft cast from elbow to wrist, watching Cooper on the activity mat with the particular intensity of a dog who had opinions about the proximity of glass-top furniture to infants, and no longer had any patience for anyone who disagreed. Every fur-covered miracle runs on a physics that doesn't require a degree. Subscribe to Fur-Covered Miracles. David removed every glass-top table from the house that weekend. He replaced them with solid wood pieces with rounded corners. He moved the Montessori mobile to a dedicated floor stand, tethered to a wall anchor. He also weighed Pretzel on the bathroom scale. 11 pounds, 2 ounces. He framed the camera still. Frame 848, the apex of Pretzel's 4-foot arc, 11 pounds of dachshund at peak horizontal velocity, and hung it in the living room. Shannon asked him why. Because structural engineering programs don't teach this, he said, and they should. She stepped off the couch, walked to the activity mat, and lay down beside Cooper with the quiet authority of a structural consultant who had assessed the revised furniture arrangement and found it acceptable. No glass, no mobiles, no tables in the fall zone. She curled against Cooper's side and closed her eyes. 11 pounds, 32 pounds, 4 feet, 1/8 of a second, 1 broken ulna, 1 unbroken baby. The math worked because it had to. The fracture healed in 6 weeks. The orthopedic specialist, a veterinarian who specialized in small breed injuries, said Pretzel's recovery was textbook. Rest, anti-inflammatories, restricted activity. The cast came off on a Tuesday morning, and Pretzel stepped off the examination table with the brisk confidence of a dog who had completed a project and was ready for the next one. Shannon kept the camera still framed. David, who had watched the footage 6 times, showed it to a colleague at his structural engineering firm, a younger engineer who specialized in dynamic load calculations. The colleague watched it once. She hit the fulcrum point, he said. What does that mean? Every table has a load distribution center, a point where minimal force produces maximum directional leverage. An 11-pound dog applying lateral force at that exact point, at that angle, would redirect a 32-pound load away from the pivot axis. He paused. Did you train her for this? She's a dachshund. The colleague looked at the screen again. Pretzel, frozen at the apex of her 4-foot arc, front leg extended, ears streaming, eyes focused on the table leg. She calculated this, the colleague said. David said he didn't think dachshunds calculated. The colleague said he wasn't sure there was a better word for what was visible in frames 847 through 851. David said he'd think about it. He thought about it for 3 weeks. Then he bought Pretzel a large beef bone, which she ate in the living room with the precision and focus of an engineer reviewing a completed project. 11 pounds, 1 bone, all the satisfaction in the world.